So today I'm introducing Matt from Code Red Installations. Matt has been an integral part in my knowledge learning home automation. I've been fortunate enough to work in some of the most prestigious homes around Brisbane and the Gold Coast, thanks to you.
No problem.
And I wanted to take this opportunity to try and pick your brain and maybe educate some viewers, listeners about everything that is home automation and also some of the new technology that's coming out. One of the things I wanted to sort of get out there is Alexa or Google Home really that smart? So firstly, just give us a bit of an introduction about yourself and maybe tell us about the favourite project you've ever had to work on.
Okay, sure. So my background is actually aviation. I'm an avionics electronics engineer. Spent 6 years in the Australian Air Force working on aircraft electronics. And when I got out, which was in 2002, so what's that, 16 years ago, I ended up working for a company called AMX Australia, which is one of the largest commercial home automation systems. And AMX was my stepping stone into this industry. One day, I think it was in about 2003, the boss handed me this product called RTI and said, "Here, I need you to learn this."
Yeah.
He said, "I've just brought it into the country." So I was the very first RTI programmer in Australia and New Zealand, and it didn't like it too much at first because it was such a simple product. I thought of myself as this fancy AMX programmer. And here I am 16 years later, still using that same product, still using RTI as my go-to automation system. But brand aside, all of the automation systems, they all have their pros and cons.
Yeah.
I use RTI myself, because I'm familiar and have experience with it, but because it's reliable, and that's my. It's got to be simple and reliable for me to sell it. If I have to service it and provide support for it for the customers, it's got to be simple and it's got to be reliable, and that's the product that gives me the most reliability.
So it's tested years upon years.
Years upon years.
With great support.
Absolutely.
Really.
So after I finished up work with AMX Australia, what we did is we separated the business and we took RTI to a new supplier, and we created a new distribution just for RTI, and that company was called RTI Controls. And then what I did at RTI Controls, I was the managing director, so but I looked after, it was a new business, so I looked after everything. I looked after repairs, I looked after programming courses, I taught the programming courses, looked after sales, I looked after pretty much all of it, but the admin side.
Okay.
And then in 2007, I was actually offered a job with RTI in the US as their national product trainer.
Okay.
And ended up living in Vancouver. So I was in Vancouver for 6 years teaching RTI and providing support, etc. for RTI. So my background, apart from the past 6 years, my background has been more support and training, and that's where I've learnt more about the reliability of RTI and how reliable it is, because I've been at the support end, I've been at the warranty, non-warranty repairs end, and I can see where RTI sits on the ladder for reliability. So when I separated from distribution and went to start my own business, I knew that that was going to be my go-to product, and still is today, and zero regrets at that.
So your favourite project then possibly is, well, most definitely would be an RTI installation?
Absolutely, and that's really a difficult question, because I actually have numerous favourite projects, all for different reasons. Some of the standout projects have been, I worked on a very large 150-foot boat. Actually, I've worked on two 150-foot boats, one in Vancouver and one in Brisbane. And that was a very large system. So not only did we look after the RTI automation of the boat, so the whole boat had iPad control, and it was using LG 4K TVs with a Kaleidoscope 4K movie server.
So what is the Kaleidoscope 4K movie server for those people that aren't familiar with that technology?
So these days everyone goes for a streaming service like Netflix, like Stan, Foxtel Go, all of those sort of services that are based on the internet. When you have a 150-foot boat, you're going to be out in the water, which doesn't have access to high-speed internet enough and very expensive, which is satellite internet, but you don't have access to that broadband like you do onshore. So what we had to do is we had to create a media server that was able to store 4K content without the need for internet, and that's why we came up with the Kaleidoscope system.
So you integrated the audio visual, the televisions with this media server?
Absolutely, yep.
With the RTI control?
Yes.
Was there any other feature?
We had C-bus lighting control.
Okay.
So we had lighting control, blinds, shutters. We had. We also managed the whole network. So we had a business or commercial grade network, wireless network on the boat, which we separated one for staff, one for the people on board, and we gave them different amount of access to the internet as well. So each there was 14 TVs on this boat, and it was.
Not many people have 14 TVs. Not many people have more than 4 TVs in their home, let alone 4 TVs on a boat.
And the owner, private owner, it wasn't to lease boat. It was just a private boat for his scuba diving. So
it's another world, isn't it?
It is. So the project was very difficult to work on at the time because of time constraints of the actual boat build, and we can't go in until right at the end.
Okay.
But right at the end was already late. Not because of our delay, but because of the build delay.
Yeah.
So we were under a lot of pressure at the end to finish it, because the boat had to leave to go back to Europe. So, but that was an exciting project to work on, and the boat owner and staff still call me up and ask for the changes and all of that, and I'm able to do that using RTI.
Yeah.
I'm able to do that remotely. So they're in Spain. Last I heard, they were in Spain, which was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was able to log in and make changes.
Isn't that brilliant?
So yeah.
It's a wonder they don't ask you to control the driving of the boat with the RTI itself.
I wish.
Hey, when can we have this feature?
They probably know I might mess around with that while they're
that's
out. And that was one of the projects, and that was a boat. But then I've got like a favourite commercial project that I worked on, which was a kids learning space centre, where the company I was working, the production company I was working with, built a big tunnel, like a space shuttle tunnel.
Okay. Yeah.
And they put TVs down the side in portholes. So as you walk down the tunnel, you looked out, and they created this media that looked like stars going past.
Yeah.
So it looked like you were actually in a spaceship. And at the front we had a projector that projected onto a curved screen in the cockpit with the stars coming at you. So it really gave you that immersive feeling that you were in space. And as you walk down the tunnel, there was information boards and everything. And then outside of the tunnel, there's a theaterette that shows different content on space and space exploration. That was a basic system. So from a technical point of view, it's probably one of the smallest jobs I've done.
But it was a cool job.
It was a cool job, and it was controlled by RTI, and RTI does all of the scheduled timing for on and off. So the people that work there, they come in and the system turns on automatically and shuts down of an evening automatically, and that's all the
just
TVs.
when they appear to work.
That's right. Well, it's triggered off the alarm. So as soon as the alarm's disarmed, the AV all turns on. As soon as the alarm's armed, it turns all off again. So.
And that's pretty much automation in a nutshell, isn't it? It's when you're able to take, you know, third-party products.
Absolutely.
And able to sort of create the communication protocol between each of these devices and seamlessly make it operate.
That's
and
right.
That's your job.
It needs to appear as one system, not as, you know, as all different systems. Like not too long ago, everyone had a TV. You know, it might have been a DVD player, Foxtel, surround sound receiver, CD player, etc., Apple TV, all needing their own remotes. So they were individual systems. The TV was one system. The Foxtel, so if you wanted to change volume, you had to pick up whether it was the TV volume or the surround sound volume. It could be really confusing. What an automation system does is it combines all of those into one interface, one user interface for the client. Now we have the ability to bring in a lot more systems like security alarm, like lighting control, like HVAC, you know, air conditioning, heating and cooling. You know, and we can integrate it so you walk out the door, all you have to do is go up to the alarm and arm the alarm, and all your audio visual in the house turns off, all your lights dim down, might set into a mode depending on time of day. If it's in the evening, some outside lights might turn on, and your heating cooling we can set the setback mode down so it's not trying to maintain that temperature as much to save on electricity. So there's the automation system combines systems that don't historically talk to each other and make it a very simple experience for the client. You know, drive home at night after work, you can disarm the alarm as you're getting close. That might open up the front gate, open up the garage door, turn on some lights inside the house, so you're not trying to walk into a dark house. Also disarm the alarm. You know, we can make the house, configure the house in a way that the client feels most at home.
Yeah,
so
that's brilliant, isn't it?
Mm.
So we talked a little bit about legacy automation products like AMX, and which sort of moved into more simplified but still quite technical versions such as RTI. Nowadays we see, or we've seen advertised in, you know, just general retail stores, things like Alexa and Google Home.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people that don't know, what is Alexa and Google Home, and what's the use cases for that type of technology in the home?
Sure.
If we're considering the things that you've just sort of described to us.
So all of the big brands are starting to bring out their own personal assistant home automation interface. Amazon is Alexa. Google is the Google Home, and with those systems,
that's Alexa going
Alexa,
off now.
stop.
That's a problem, isn't it? Once you have Alexa in the home,
I can't say a name.
we'll call it Ali. Call her Ali for sure.
So
Maybe
like
if we're referring to her, we'll call her Ali, and then hopefully the lights and stuff doesn't start going off.
The whole house might start going crazy. With these automation, they're all designed to work with specific products. So you need to have, if you want to be able to control the TV, you need a TV that is controllable by that personal assistant that you choose, whether it be Google Home, Amazon, the Echo series, or Apple Home Pod. So that, they all have their different brands that they can control. But there are a lot of products in a home that can't, and in the foreseeable future won't be controlled by a smart home assistant. Things like a Foxtel box. So you can't just say, Google Home, I want to watch Foxtel, and it control the Foxtel box. So where automation system comes in is the automation system is the link between the personal assistant and the whole home, regardless of whether it's compatible with Alexa or not. Alexa, stop. So lighting controls, Clips or C-Bus, Philips Dynalight, both of those systems aren't controllable by any of the personal assistants. But using an automation system like RTI, we can then be the interface.
That's the bridge between
That's the bridge.
the devices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So on their own, they're a really good small step into the automation space, but it's not a complete step. And only because there needs to be, if you want to watch TV, if you just have the TV on the wall, then that's simple. But if you've got a surround sound receiver and a Foxtel box, then there's no way for your personal assistant to know what HDMI input it's in, what input on the surround sound receiver it's in. That all needs to be configured in what's called a macro. So what I can do is I can get that personal assistant to trigger a macro on the automation processor to turn TV on, to turn the surround sound receiver on, to change inputs on the TV, to change inputs on the surround sound receiver, put all the necessary delays, and then turn the Foxtel box on as well. And I can get the automation system to do that task.
So it's not actually Ali doing that whole myriad of tasks.
No.
It's really just Ali triggering
That's right.
that processor, the
Yeah.
RTI processor
Yeah.
or whatever it may be,
Yes.
to then execute the string of commands that you've already programmed.
That's it.
So
So
then,
there is an ability to program Alexa, and it's called a skill. And the skill is like an app or an API that is written so that personal assistant can do custom things. The problem is every house is different. I have a Samsung TV and I use Sonos. You might have an LG TV and use a Marantz surround sound receiver. And every house is different. And I might have my Apple TV plugged into HDMI 1, you might have it plugged into 2. You might have Foxtel, I don't have Foxtel. So this is where the integrator comes in and customizes that automation experience for the customer. So if you're a do-it-yourself kind of renovator on a lower end budget, you can go out and buy one of these and then pick the products that suits. So you can pick a TV that's controllable by that, so long as you understand that you're only controlling the TV, you're not controlling any of the back-end equipment that needs to also be
run with
used.
it.
That's right.
So I noticed when you did a tour of your house here, of the products that have been connected, been automated, you did have the RTI processor. You also had a box called a Vera
Yes.
box, and my understanding is that this is a Z-Wave controllable device, well,
Yep.
the devices around your home were Z-Wave controllable devices, and you needed to use that Vera box to talk to the RTI,
Yes.
and the Ali is connected to the Vera and or the network that makes this whole system work. So
Correct.
what is the Vera box? Z-Wave technology, what is it in a nutshell?
Okay, so Z-Wave has been out for quite some time, and I might actually take a step back. There used to be a product called X10, which was a overpower control. So what it would be is you would have devices on the power circuit that could be controlled. So I would press a button on a remote that would send a wireless RF command to another box, which would send a command over the power line, and then control lights in the house. That was a do-it-yourself kind of a system 20 years ago. It wasn't the most reliable, but it kind of worked. Kind of didn't, kind of did. Then came Z-Wave, and that changed. That had a big change in the industry, because what Z-Wave was a open source control system. So not a closed system like all of the home automation systems. This is a open source that any manufacturer can create products for. So what we've seen is the initial purpose of this Z-Wave was lighting control. So, and that's still today the biggest market that Z-Wave is used in. So you can easily retrofit any house by taking out a light switch and putting in this Z-Wave, either dimmer or relay, and have instant control. Obviously, sorry, I should mention that that's installed by a qualified electrician, not by anyone. But an electrician can fit this dimmer or relay module, and you have instant access of that circuit via schedules, via phone, iPad, PC, remote access outside the home, inside the home, etc. So with Vera is one of the brands that uses the Z-Wave technology, and Vera is the automation hub. It's the brains of the system. So, but I can buy any brand accessories. So I have a Vera automation hub, but I have Fibaro switches.
And another brand is AOTech. They release a lot of thermostats and you know, other sensor products, etc.
Which is one of the advantages, is because Z-Wave is open source, the market has brought out some phenomenal accessory devices to other than lighting. I know one of them is a water sensor. So you can slide a water sensor if you've got a fridge with a water tap on it, or in your laundry and the washing machines, you can slide this Z-Wave water sensor underneath that product and alert the automation system that there's a water leak. So, and then that can alert your phone instantly to let you know that there's a water leak. So not only are you alerted immediately, there's another product that another company has released that's a mains water pressure water valve.
Okay.
So if the automation sensor senses a water leak, it can then go to the water valve and shut the water off automatically.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
I have been hit with a water leak myself, and that would have been very handy. Actually, one of my customers, which you've worked at the house, they've just experienced a few weeks ago a water leak, and is costing them probably near 100,000 to fix.
Wow.
So it's a monstrous fix. So having a basic system like that, and they're not expensive products.
And this is the advantage of, say, using Z-Wave. I mean, obviously, like hardwiring a house with an automation system, that's our go-to whenever we get involved in the project. They've got capability when the house is being constructed at frame stage. We get to run all the necessary cables to make our own infrastructure, to make the control system easier to operate. But for circumstances where you've bought a house, you do need to retrofit, as you said, the Z-Wave is the way to go, and it's more cost effective.
Absolutely. And my go-to is a a Lutron or a Clipsal C-Bus or a Philips Dynalite lighting system. It's absolutely my go-to because I prefer more of a hardwired, solution. But if, like myself, didn't build the house and didn't have the ability to rewire the house, then Vera has been a very, very good option for me.
Yeah.
Because of all of the sensors that are available. There's now Z-Wave security cameras, security systems. There's, garage door, control, so you can control your garage door. There's intercoms. There's because it's open source, it's opened up this do-it-yourself world. And what we've done is those personal assistants are compatible with some of the automation processes, like Z-Wave automation processes, like Vera. So I can take RTI out of the mix and still use Amazon Echo or Google Home or whatever to control Vera directly. So I don't need the RTI in place. But that's only for lighting or the accessories that I use. If I want to use something else like audio visual or something that doesn't have, then I will need that automation system. So in my system where I've got Alexa controlling lights, that's actually not controlling Vera directly. It's controlling the RTI system, and the RTI system talks to the Vera. So, that's because I have the ability to have an automation system in my house. So.
Where do you see the future of this Z-Wave automation? What do you see as the possibilities of products that people could invent, develop, and what are the some applications that might become a good use case in the home or in commercial or enterprise or medical or what?
So I'm actually going to take a step back to the first question you asked me, not about myself, but about some of my favourite projects. Another one of my favourite projects I worked on was a house over in Western Australia for a disabled gentleman, and he was wheelchair bound. So, the company I was integrating with put cabinets in his kitchen, and they were motorised cabinets that came down, and we used RTI as the one user interface for this guy in his wheelchair. So he could go up to any of the wall mounted touchscreens around, or he had an iPad that he carried around with him all the time, and he could control the cabinets, the higher cabinets, to drop down, so he could still reach and have access to all of that space. He had access to his lighting control, he had access to intercom, he had access to audio visual, he had access to his security, he had access to the whole house, all from his wheelchair. So I think what we need to do is we need to start looking out of the box of this home automation system, and we need to start integrating it into making not the mainstream lives easier, but people that are, have needs and make their life easier. Elderly, disabled, even people in healthcare, etc. There are so many industries that could benefit from an automation system, and I think if we utilised the existing hardware and created this skill or API or driver or software to tap into that hardware and customize, once again, that user experience for that person. So I know in an automation, a home automation, I come in and program for that particular person. If you have someone, let's say an elderly person, we could get one of the personal assistants to ask questions. If there hasn't been any activity, we could integrate motion sensors through Vera. We could integrate tasks like if the personal assistant's been idle for half an hour or something, it could just ask the person a simple question. Hey, are you okay? Right? And the person goes, yeah, I'm just reading a book. So, done. If that personal assistant doesn't receive a response, then it could contact a next of kin just to say,
Yeah, that's
you
really
know,
good.
hey, I haven't heard from so-and-so in half an hour. You might want to try give them a call or checking up on it. You know, so many times you hear these sad stories of, you know, elderly people being found passed away, you know, weeks or months down the track. You know, allowing us to utilise that automation experience that we do in a normal house, but customise it for people with needs. I think, you know, with the growing elderly population, we're going to have more and more requirements for this type of technology. And I believe the hardware is there. We just need to customise it to make use of the hardware for, once again, that particular need.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. And if you think about, the elderly already have these emergency bracelets and or phones, but they still have to either be conscious enough to execute whatever it is, press the bracelet, maybe they lose it, maybe they're not wearing the bracelet.
Falls off, they roll over on it in bed, you know, or, there's plenty of, they are fantastic devices.
Yeah.
But let's try to look outside of the box and find a solution that better suits. So don't change the person's life by making them wear a bracelet. Let's try to use the sensors around the house and, you know, customise that for that person's need.
We just have to try to convince the older generation to adopt the technology a little bit.
That's right.
And that's sometimes part of our job, is to try to convince people the benefits of using technology to their advantage.
Times they are a changing, and you know, I'm 42. I'm not getting any younger, and I'm going to want that technology when I'm elderly.
Yeah.
I really will.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And you know, my young daughter now, she's grown up with technology. She's grown up with voice activation. She's grown up with iPads. So people are a lot more accepting of technology. And if you make it easy and you don't make it intrusive, so a bracelet is something that they have to remember to put on or remember to carry around with them, those sort of things. If it's just sensors, it's not even there. But in the background, the personal assistant or the automation system's going, okay, I've sensed motion in this room, I've sensed motion in this room, I've sensed motion in this room. You know, so things are okay. And in half an hour's time, if there's no motion, there's no interaction, there's no nothing, well, it might not be half an hour, it might be an hour, 2 hours, a day, it doesn't matter, it's customizable. And that personal assistant can go, hey, so-and-so, give me a thumbs up, you know, just checking in, just making sure you're all good.
That's it.
So, and that gives some comfort to that person's family as well, to know that, you know, they may be busy in their life, but there is still something making sure that their family member is okay.
Yeah, it's food for thought, isn't it? That's good. I reckon we've covered some pretty good topics. So I'm pretty excited to see what the future holds for you know, where your mind's going to expand and where your business is going to expand, and I look forward to learning more.
Awesome.
And I hope that everyone that's tuned in has definitely gained some knowledge. And let's do it again sometime soon.
Sounds good.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.